Hi everyone, welcome back to our flight from London to Vancouver, and we are just about to start our approach, so let's go. A lot of Flight Simulator users are not a fan of using anything other than LNAV and VNAV. I really am. In fact, I use flight level change and heading select all the time in the terminal area, and vertical speed as well, to an extent. So you can see where our banana is there, that we're not going to hit 4,000 feet for another 15 miles or so. I'm going to put us in flight level change. And that is going to essentially ignore the various restrictions that we have. It'll go ahead and take us all the way down as it needs to. You can see we're supposed to be at 220 knots coming up on Cetus, so the flight management computer is slowing us down. Go ahead and call for flaps 1. Okay, and finally on the ILS approach, so our missed approach procedure, climb to a 420 degree heading on climb to 420 feet on a runway heading, that's 263 degrees. Then a climbing right turn to heading 293 to 3000. Intercept the Oscar Bravo Delta. VOR, let's see, radial 263. And then go into a hold at 5,700 feet. Okay, so we're on our way down to 4,000. Flaps 1 at 220 knots. And we'll go ahead and choose 3,000 as our selected altitude now. And I chose 3,000 because Agnad is going to be the start of our approach, and that's supposed to be 3,000 or above. So we'll get down to 3,000 and then turn around and hit the localizer. Just verify that missed approach procedure here on our FMC. So that was 420 feet, then on a 293 heading to Dutno. Hold at Dutno at 5,700. So once we get established on the glide path, we'll go ahead and set 5,700 in our altitude windows. That's our missed approach altitude. There we go. You can see we're picking up DME information from the localizer here, so we're about 15.5 miles from the airport. Okay, so the cabin's ready. Getting a little bit of red terrain there, but it's off to the left. It's not something to worry about right now because we're going to be turning shortly. And even though we've got some clouds, there's no weather to speak of really in the area. Okay, 1,000 to go. Let's go ahead and go into heading select. Do a 90-degree turn to 170. And our glide slope deflection just came online. So we're starting to receive the glide path information. And as we level off here at 3,000, let's get down to our flaps 1 speed of 200 knots. As we cross that, get down to that bug, we'll go ahead and extend the flaps to 5. Flaps 5. And continue our turn to intercept the localizer. And we'll assume at this point that we've been cleared for our approach, so we'll press the localizer button. You can see localizer's already been captured. And here comes the deflection. I know some airlines actually require one of the pilots to be in approach mode, so actually viewing the raw localizer data. This is no different than the OBS display you'd see in a Cessna 172. It's just the raw ILS signal. You can use these deflection needles here as well, though, and since I'm just one person here in Flight Simulator, that's kind of the way I prefer to do it. Now that we're getting a little closer, it's not as big a deal, but I like to synchronize my throttles there, just because you don't have to disconnect your auto throttles when you disconnect the autopilot like you do in the 737. You can actually leave the auto throttle in all the way down, but I like to retard them to idle as I get ready to flare. Okay, let's arm our speed brakes. Speed brakes are armed. And confirmed. Let's see, visibility was, just looking at my notes here, about 10 miles. So we should be, we still got a ways to go. We got about 6 miles to go before we're 10 miles out. You can see the DME there is saying 16.1. You might see this little green dot there. That's actually our deceleration point. And that's the point where we want to decelerate down to basically our final approach speed. We've passed all these other waypoints, so we're just going to go ahead and upselect Agnad as our first waypoint. It's not actually going to do anything, it just sort of cleans up our navigation display. And what I'm waiting for here is for the diamond here to start to drop down. Slow down to about 190 for now. As this diamond starts to drop down, what I'll do is when it gets to the first top diamond there, we'll extend our flaps to 15 and hit our flap 15 speed. Here we go. And then when we're one below, we'll go ahead and extend the gear. So there's flaps 15. And we'll bug down to our flaps 15 speed. Oops, too far. Which is about 161. And then when we're one above, we'll go ahead and drop our gear. Sorry, one below. Okay, one below, gear down. There's the runway inside over there. Okay, so the gear is down. I'm going to arm our speed brakes. Speed brakes are armed. And here we're coming up on totem, so let's get dialed into our final approach speed, which we said was 150 knots. And extend our flaps. Flaps 20. And we'll set our missed approach altitude as well, which is 5,700. And flaps 30. Okay, so we're nice and stable on our approach. Got the airport in sight and the runway in sight. And we have flaps 30 with a green light. So our landing checklist, speed brakes armed, landing gears down in green, flaps 30. Landing checklist complete. Now I'm going to actually leave the auto throttle active. That's actually something you can do on the 777. On the 737, when you disconnect the autopilot, you should disconnect the auto throttle as well. You don't need to do that on the 777, so I'm actually going to leave it all the way in until we're about 30 to 40 feet off the ground, and then I'll go ahead and just manually retard the throttles to idle at that point. So autopilot's coming off. I'll press it once, we'll hear the alarm, and then I'll press it again. So autopilot off, and again. There we go. Checked. Stable.
Approaching 2-6 right.
Checked. Okay, we're under 500 feet now. A little low. Let's correct that.
Approaching minimums. Minimums.
Landing. There we are on glide slope.
100. 50. 30. 20. 10.
Speed brakes up. Reverse green. Knots. Manual braking. Okay. So here we are turning off, I guess we don't have a taxiway number here, but this is, I'm guessing Mike 4. We'll take a look as we get a little closer. And what I'll do is I'll park once we get on the taxiway and do some of our after landing actions, and then get the all the ground stuff set up for going into the gate. So I'll bring our flaps up, landing lights off, strobe light off, taxi light on. Disarm, put the auto brake to off. Okay, so here we are, Mike 4. There we can see the label there. I'm going to go ahead and set the parking brake here for a moment. Brakes are set to park. Terrain off on my side. Weather radar off on the first officer's side. Flaps are coming up. Start the APU. So we have power once we're in our taxi. We'll have ground power at the gate, but I like to keep it on just for the time being. Okay, take a look at our taxi map. We are on Mike 4, and we are going to park at gate 44. I believe that's Terminal B? No. Let's try this again. Terminal C. Terminal C, gate 44. Okay, so here we go. So our taxi route's going to take us on Mike 4. We'll take a left onto Victor, then left onto Kilo, and that'll put us into the gate. So brakes released. Go ahead and turn our flight directors off. And this will be Victor here at the end, just coming up at the end of Mike 4. And the APU is running. be the inner taxiway, which means the next one will be Kilo, where we'll be turning left. There it is, Kilo. Okay, so we are on taxiway Kilo, and I believe our gate is, it's one of these up here. We'll get a little better look when we get a little closer. Okay, so that is gate, what, 42, right ahead of us. And then 43, so 44 is next. That'll be us. Go ahead and turn our taxi light off so we don't blind the ground crew. And we have a safe dock system at this gate, so we'll make sure that the aircraft type is properly identified as we turn in. So here we are coming up on gate 44. Slow down a little bit. And start our turn. Okay, 777 is identified on the safe dock. Oh, just a little too far. About one. Alright, parking brakes are on. APU is running, so engine 2 shut down. Engine 1 shut down. Turn our transponder off. Go up to the overhead panel. Fuel pumps off. We'll turn off the hydraulic pumps in the reverse order, so center pumps off, center air pumps off. Left electric demand pump to off. We're going to wait for that fault light to illuminate. Now center electric pumps off. Again, wait for the fault light to illuminate. While we're waiting for that, we can go ahead and turn our Adaroo off. And then right electric pump off. And finally, beacon off. Okay. Let's get our ground equipment in. So go to ground connections. Wheel chocks are set. Jetway plugs are in. And we'll get air conditioning connected as well. Here comes the jetway into the plane. So we have power and air. So we'll go ahead and turn the external power on. And APU off. Again, as I did on takeoff, the APU is going to go down and go into a cool down mode. Go ahead and hit cancel. So APU cool down, doors are auto. No smoking sign is on. And let's open up the doors. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and run our shutdown checklist. And so we've got just about everything green except for the parking brake. You can see how the parking brake is not automatically sensed. That's because if we have ground chocks in, we're probably going to want the parking brake off. On the other hand, if we don't have chocks, we're going to want to take the parking brake off. However, the ground chocks are in. So actually we'll go ahead and release the parking brake because the ground chocks are in. Parking brake is set, and our shutdown checklist is complete. So, that ends our series on our PMDG tutorial flight from London Heathrow to Vancouver. Thanks a lot for following along. I know it's been a bit of a grind, but I really do appreciate it. Please let me know, leave a comment on YouTube or on Reddit if there's anything else you'd like to see, any other planes, any other procedures. So thanks a lot, have a good one, hopefully we'll see you soon.